Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the Solio Analytics podcast, hosted by myself, JC, FPL Spaceman. And I don't have Pras this week, which is why I'm doing the intro. So hopefully I didn't butcher it. In his absence, I've actually got James back again from last week. We've both played our FH18 chips, so we're going to spend about an hour talking about those. No, we won't, because they went quite well. But yeah, James, how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing so good, Johnny. I mean, we've had such a game week. We'll get into it in a minute. Oh my word, I am filling in for Pras, which is an honor and a privilege. I hope that I can do him justice. But I mean, I'm ahead of him in FPL, and I'm even further ahead of him now. So it's good to have two great FPL managers on the podcast. Really,
Finally,
that's just all I can say. Yeah,
can't
wait.
Yes, no, Pras is obviously a very good manager who we hope will pick up soon. But yes, he didn't play the very excellent strategy of FH17. I'm trying not to gloat too much, but obviously this is the Sunday after the games on the Saturday, and Ian Lewis Potter's 21 pointer is still fresh in my memory. So I'm going to gloat while I can, because next year I'll forgot all about it.
Yeah, Pras made the classic blunder of not picking players who score loads of points.
Yes,
which we all do from time to time. We all do it, but
I've done it quite often this season as well, actually.
I know you have.
Yeah.
But when Keen Lewis Potter came calling, you were there, Johnny, and so was I, and so
knew.
was 0.1% of the playing FPL population. But you know who wasn't? Pras.
Yes, shame.
And that's why you kicked him off.
I mean, just when a defender's playing right wing for a lower mid-table team for 2 or 3 games, you have to be ready with your free hit chip. No, yes, lovely. Yeah, so we'll cover. We're recording this just after the Man United Villa game, so we thought, well, there's one game today. We might as well wait until afterwards to record it, because I'm going home for Christmas, and we won't do it on Monday. We'll do it today. And we thought, wow, what's the worst that could happen in Man United Villa? But as we'll get into, Bruno Fernandes may or may not be injured, maybe fine, maybe dead, maybe he'll, maybe we'll find out tomorrow morning before we post this that actually all the info we have right now is wrong. But currently, he has gone off injured at halftime. So let's see how that goes. But yes, moving on. Before we cover, we've still got, is it Fulham Forest tomorrow night, I think? So Harry Wilson might still ruin our game week ranks. Very popular player. But before I get into that, he didn't score or assist today, but he did last week. He got an assist last week. Is that when it was? Yuri Tielemans?
And by he... Yeah, yes. You mean Yuri Tielemans, capital yes. H on that he,
capital
because he's the one and only. I can't believe it. We were saying all season at Solio, Tielemans is a great player. If he just gets on that pitch, he's going to score goals, he's going to get assists, and he did. And we had a deal going that said, if Tielemans scores or assists before Christmas, every Solio feature is free for a week. And now we actually have to deliver on that. So what does that mean? That means on Christmas morning, you'll wake up, and before you open your stockings, before you unwrap the presents, you can go on the Solio site and all of the features will be completely free. All of those tier 4 features, including the season-long horizon, including the... all of the editing, all the fancy edits, all of the unlimited branches. You can use the tool to your heart's desire. That will last for 1 week. 1 week after Christmas, we're shutting the doors again. But we're spreading some Christmas cheer this season thanks to Yuri Tielemans.
Yes, and do existing members or new members have to do anything, or do they just sign up as usual?
Nobody has to do anything. Nobody has to do anything. It will automatically
delivered
kick
straight to your door.
Yeah.
Yes, if you are a new user, you can join and sign up during that period, and basically the free version is going to have all the features in it, rather than needing to upgrade or downgrade or whatever. Yeah. And then obviously you'll return back to your regular tier after that. But some people said we should have done this as a Christmas present anyway. But to those people, I say you didn't have faith in Yuri Tielemans like we did. We knew he would do this. This was 99% certainty, if not higher. So yes, thank you, Yuri Tielemans, for your Christmas present. To start with, we will start with a Game Week 17 roundup. I've got our scores up here. Don't worry, we are going to cover plans and what to do first, but I know a lot of people have been talking about James is very in demand. He's been on a few different podcasts now and might be on a few more coming soon. He's obviously on our podcast as a member of our team, but he likes to talk about risk, and I like to talk to James about risk as well. So this was our risky free hit 17 teams. Do you want to read your team out for the audio listeners?
Sure. I mean, I'll do it very briefly.
Talk it through what you were thinking.
Yeah. So I was clearly thinking not as hard as you because you scored more points than I did. I went with like a medium high risk team. You went absolutely balls to the wall insane, and it paid off. But my team has triple Arsenal defense. It has Lewis Potter. We've got Senesi in there, which, triple Man City attack with Cherky, Foden, and Haaland captain. Bruno Fernandes, Tavernier, and Semenyo. And what's your team looking like, Johnny, this last week? Who do you have?
Yeah, it's actually only 3 players different, I think. So I have triple Arsenal and triple Brentford defence. So I swapped Raya for Kelleher and brought in another centre-back. So I have Timber, who you don't have. And then I've brought Collins in for Senesi. And I didn't go for Bruno Fernandes. I went for... who's my other player? I must have an extra one somewhere. Oh, it's the Arsenal. Yeah, swap the keepers. So I have triple Brentford defence, Kelleher, Collins, Lewis Potter, which is quite a memorable trio. I don't think I'm going to ever beat that picks ever again.
No.
I remember watching the Wolves penalty in the last minute with a few friends and thinking, oh, this is real make or break here. And then Arsenal had a penalty that, Saliba almost fouled. Was it Tieno Barry? He almost gave the penalty away.
Yeah.
So I did go for 2 triple stack defenses, and faded Bruno Fernandes. And I think part of the reason I did that, actually, if I was in your position, I think I would have picked almost exactly your free hit team. But going into the game week, I was ranked almost 900,000 in the world, and you were 300,000,
something like that.
Yeah. So I think I needed to dial up the risk a lot more to try and get back in the game, so to speak. And I think I really saw this as an opportunity to, without damaging my team in the future, other than it might flop big and lose a lot of points to the field. I thought there wasn't a huge amount of risk from some of these other options, and I had Haaland covered, I had Foden covered, and what I was doing was dialing up the, if I get 2 clean sheets, I didn't think I'd get a pen save and 2 goals. Then I'm off. I'm getting a huge chunk on the field. So that was the plan, to sort of like see if I can get back in with a chance of top 10k. And if it fails, then so be it. But I gave it a go, and I can sort of play from there. Whereas I think, if I'd been 2 or 300k, I'd go, okay, I want to dial the risk up. I want to try and use this chip to get an advantage to gain a big chunk on the field. But actually, I need to minimize the chance of it going wrong, because I could throw away my chance of doing well already. Whereas I was already in a position where I thought, starting to slip away a little bit now. Like, I'm going to have to get quite lucky. So, yes.
Well,
I mean,
it couldn't have gone much better, could it? I mean, it's just absolutely unbelievable. How many points did you score this game week, Johnny? How many points did you get?
It's currently on 112, but I will lose 1 point, and you will gain 1 point. Because I believe Timber is losing his 1 bonus point, and Raya is gaining it for a big chance that
I
missed.
win.
I win. How many did you get?
Yeah.
You were...
I'm on, I think, 97. I'm not quite getting to the big 100,
100,
but goodness me. I mean, I would have taken 97, I think. So you're finishing on 111, which if you convert that, binary to decimal, that's 7, which is higher than your rank in terms of number of total points scored from goalkeepers and defenders this week. Johnny got the 5th most points in the world from goalkeepers and defenders. I mean, seriously, the 5th most in the world. I think you got 61 points from your 5 defenders and goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Only 4 people in the world scored more points this game week than Johnny across those 2 positions. So Johnny is basically an FPL champion.
Good enough. I saw you and Chris looking up this data earlier, and I was wondering what on earth you were going on about. Like a very niche category to be going down through. Was I the highest of those with Kelleher in or something, or I don't know. Who did they have? Who else got lots of points? I suppose
you didn't have the highest scoring Arsenal defender.
I picked
Johnny.
the wrong 3 Arsenal defenders somehow. Missed Hincapier's 10-pointer.
Yeah. So that's I think the main difference between these teams is some people picked Hincapié instead of like Calafiori or something. That's the only thing you got wrong this game.
I got it, and I got it very wrong. I will lament it for a long time.
I know.
Yes, but I think we had this earlier on in the season on the free hit 13. Was it free hit 13 or 14? I can't remember. We shared a few drafts. We started sharing these free hit frontier graphs that James has been working on that we'll get onto for Gameweek 18 and Gameweek 19 in a second. But we showed a team that had triple. I forgot which week it was. No, because free hit 13. Did Haaland blank that week? There was one week where we did share a team that was like, this is the max risk team that we can come up with. And it had no Haaland, it had triple City defense, it had another defensive stack that came in and, it got like 100 odd points. And since then, we've been trying to hit these like super high scores with some of our free hit drafts. And I was, inspired, thought I'd play one myself. But we will move on to free hit 18, actually. I think this is... I don't know how many people actually have got free hits left. There's not too many, but it'll give you an idea of... We're going to have to play them later on in the season. So I think talking about risk in general and how to... Free hit is the one where it's the easiest to whack the risk right up because it's a one-off pip. It doesn't affect your team for later. Is that how you feel is the strongest one to play something super aggressive with compared to a triple captain or a...
I like playing the triple captain super aggressively as well.
You do
basically
as well, yeah.
any chip that has like where playing it aggressively has no long-term impact. So that's free hit captain. I just love to go aggressive with it, and this is why. I mean, Bruno triple captain was not why, but free hit 17 is why. Before we move on, I just want to mention how lucky I am to play Lewis Potter over Collins. And you might ask, why did I play Lewis Potter over Collins? Collins had higher projected points at the deadline by 0.1. And the reason is because the Solio tool told me to. I was actually... I thought it was basically a coin flip. It was a coin flip. I mean, you have Collins, who's more likely to get Defcon, and he did get Defcon, and Lewis Potter is a bit more likely to get attacking returns. It's a coin flip. But Solio told me to start Lewis Potter because he, had slightly, better EV by a tiny fraction of a percentage when assuming that both played some minutes. And that's why I don't try not to overthink coin flip decisions, because if you have a stable process for making these coin flip decisions, like just doing what Solio tells you to, then sometimes you get to enjoy outcomes like these. And if Collins had scored 21 points, I wouldn't be kicking myself. I would just be ploughing on with Gameweek 18.
Can you imagine putting Verbruggen 11, Calvert-Lewin 13, and Lewis Potter 21 on your bench on the free hit?
Oh, that would be funny.
But somehow still doing quite well.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll show some of the tools a bit later on, because actually that was one of the things I was looking at was our say Solio told us to do it, but then are we Solio? Did we tell ourselves to do it? Very confusing.
I am Solio.
You are, so you built it, most of it. Yes. So I made a thing that then told me what to do. Is that cheating? Get onto that later. But we have a relative risk, basically calculator, and we have something that expresses the chance of you putting 10 plus points on the field. And as I was playing around with few different drafts, the one I settled on was the one that, with my effective ownerships put in on who I was trying to beat, produced the highest chance of putting 10 plus points on the field. And that's what made me swap off. I think I had a Bournemouth defense draft that had Bournemouth defense and Brentford attack, or maybe I had Bournemouth and Brentford defense and Brighton attack instead of the Arsenal ones. And actually, they were all scoring quite similar. But without the Bournemouth attack, without Semenyo, who was quite highly owned, I thought, okay, maybe there's more risk to gain here. But Semenyo had enough points that actually going against him was slightly detrimental to my chance of putting a big score on the field, because he was so good. And he did score, fortunately. But we can show you those in a second later. But for now, we'll go on to anyone who still does have their free hit left. We'll go through the free hit 18 frontiers. So this is our top scoring, I don't care about risk, let's just see where it puts me chart, which has gone for 5 at the back again. I don't know if this is a theme, or this is a very interesting blob shape that you were saying. This does have something slightly unusual in the risk plus category. But,
Yeah. So this blob, unlike the blob for the FH18, right? This has like a huge area in the top right of the graph where the relative risk and the projected points are both really, really high. So what that means is that there are loads of really high risk teams that you can go for, which might get you lots of points. So it's a good game week to free hit and to take loads of risk on the free hit. I'm excited for anyone who is.
I think, it was. Sorry, I've interrupted. The Liverpool team, especially, is something that they're playing Wolves at home, so it might have been one where Szoboszlai's obviously just got suspended. He was quite a popular player. A lot of people have Virgil van Dijk, but still there. But someone like Jeremy Frimpong is suddenly available. Might be playing right wing. Wirtz is looking fairly nailed because Gakpo has been out injured. But looking at it from a few weeks out, it might not have had quite as much space in this top right. But because some of the picks for this Liverpool team have slightly crystallized in some way, we've also had Isak probably out, so Ekitike is your likely starter. Whereas if there was uncertainty across the two, then you're taking more of a risk by picking one of the strikers who isn't actually in this draft. But I think there's a few teams that have kind of found that. Well, we've got Cunha as well. So when we ran this, we did put Bruno Fernandes out for this week, right? When we ran the solves, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're
Cunha's assuming some penalty shares. Obviously, Man United's attack comes down and so on. But just to read it out, it's got triple Everton defence. So Everton against Burnley are just good enough to be worth tripling up on without needing to incentivize tripling up. So Pickford, Tarkowski, Keane, Virgil and Frimpong, who's actually scoring really highly as a potential Keane Lewis Potter replica as a defensive wing back playing in the front line whilst Szoboszlai's out. Lacroix against Spurs. He's quite a popular player, but obviously we project him quite high for his defensive contributions. So he comes in as well. Wirtz, Foden, Saka, Cunha, some of the more popular players that lots of people have as well, plus Wirtz. And Haaland, still captain, but that makes sense, being that he's very good. Is there anything else you'd want to say on this? Or you've seen where the risk dials up, but...
Yeah, what I want to say is this is like a lovely team, right? I mean, this is like a lowish risk free hit relative to the free hits that we see this game week, but it's got 5 at the back with triple Everton, and that's like actually pretty risky. This team to me feels risky, but we'll move on and we'll show you some serious risk for free hit 18. Let's see it.
Yes, well, there's triple Everton defense still.
Yeah,
there's Frimpong still. I guess triple Everton defense, you get the defensive stack of if Burnley don't score, the clean sheets all come in together. But I think they're all quite popular. Tarkowski, especially in some of our mini leagues, is very well owned. And it's going to be a popular pickup. And I know a lot of people have been asking about Michael Keane and whether Jared Branthwaite's back yet or whether he's safe for a few more games. So I do think that the Everton defensive ownership will be quite high, which is maybe why it appears in the risk. It doesn't care.
Yeah, I mean... I would expect, I would expect that so many people will find out about how great an FPL asset Keane Lewis Potter is, that they'll probably get confused, and many of them will transfer in Keane.
Michael Keane.
So that's I think exactly. So I think we can expect Keane's ownership to be really high.
I've seen a few people talking about Freddie Potts as well at West Ham as a potential a midfield enabler at 4.4 he might be. Playing quite a lot.
I'm seeing Potts in some solutions this week.
You could get Michael Keane. You could get. I guess Rico Lewis isn't such a good pick at the minute. Maybe you go Lewis Hall and Freddie Potts. Then you can amalgamate, and very good. But yes, what have we got different here? We've got Palmer. No Haaland. I only just spotted he's not there. Ekitike comes in. Wirtz captain. Palmer, Saka, Cunha's still there. Sharda as well, who I think is semi-popular. He's been quite a popular midfield replacement because he's had a suspension now, so he missed game week 16. But he's quite nailed because Dango's away at AFCON and Thiago is good but has missed the odd midweek game, so Sharda seems to be able to just play all of them. And Jared Bowen as well, who West Ham have got some strong fixtures coming up. And he has played a bit more in the number 9. I think what was it, West Ham? They're selling, potentially loaning out Fulkrug to AC Milan, and Callum Wilson hasn't started the last 3 games, I believe. He comes on, but they do seem a bit more settled in this Bowen, Somerville, front 2, front none shape. But yeah, Palmer's a fun one. He's the one who's like big hitter. No one owns him, as far as I'm aware. Do you own Palmer?
Yeah. No. I mean,
No.
Palmer is a very exciting pick
Not
this
yet.
week on free hit, I think. I mean, the points are not really there, but you know, nobody owns him, and it's
points.
Cole Palmer, so it's I think he's an exciting pick. I mean, we're in a situation with free hit 18. Like, okay, I mean, first of all, everyone's going to captain Haaland. So if you want to do something crazy, if you're ranked a millionth in the world and you just want to get into that top 100k as quick as possible, yeah, you can go without Haaland, whatever, right? But we also have just loads of midfield options, like viable midfield and forward options, which we expect will have really low ownership. So Wirtz against Wolves at home is going to have low ownership, right? I mean, nobody's going to own him because it's Wirtz, but he's good, right? He's been good for a few weeks now. He's been putting up some good numbers, and Wolves are probably the worst team in the league. Cunha, it will be interesting to see how many people buy Cunha, but right now Cunha is not very high owned and is probably on pens next game week with Bruno Fernandes out. Again, Schade, right? And another player who's been putting up great numbers recently, but just nobody owns him. But he's got a solid fixture. I think Bournemouth at home, right? So yeah, Bowen, same thing. I mean, Bowen is I mean, I think it's going to be a controversial. Like we're going to start pushing Bowen, I think, in the near future, because he's got great fixtures and he's playing in a great position. Not for such a great team. West Ham are pretty bad, but we've got a bunch of players this game week with low ownership and high points, which makes it a great game week to free hit and take risk.
He is playing Fulham, who we keep being told are not as good as we say they are.
Well,
so
what happens when a movable object is struck with a very weak force? We'll find out.
I mean, it's going to be taking that into account slightly. I guess some people will be playing Joachim Andersen against West Ham away in their teams. I think he's in my lineup, so picking Bowen to knock him over would be a reasonable way to go. I think a lot of these players as well are ones who we're looking at a bit of a sort of transition period across Christmas, where Palmer especially is one that people are looking at in Gameweek 22 to 24 kind of region as a hop-on point, because you want to see a few more games of him playing good minutes, making sure he is fit enough, and that's when their fixtures really come good. And people are a little bit less hot on Saka now, and Bruno Fernandes might be injured. People might, I don't think they're going to start moving off Foden, but they're starting to have a bit more funds in midfield. Or they're getting a bit sick of the strikers. Mateta's not been great. Thiago's not been great. They've been the popular ones. Calvert-Lewin seems to just keep scoring. I don't know if people are going to pick him up, but Leeds fixtures don't look great. So I think a lot of the players here are the ones that people are going to start to be moving on to. So if you can get onto all of them in one go for 1 week, that's quite nice. So actually, each of them will probably grow in ownership this week. Yep. People will buy Wirtz. People will buy Palmer. Saka's will probably go down, actually. People might sell Saka.
A lot of people will buy Ekatike.
Yes,
I think.
He's looking very popular. We can talk about him in a second, about sort of transfer plans. But yeah, I think these are the guys who are going to be you moving towards, because they're quite strong for a few weeks. But if you can get on all of them before people have picked them up, Palmer especially is one who could go and do very well in one game week before he's very popular. This used to be our Bruno Fernandes. He used to think, okay, Bruno can get this big score before he's really popular. And then he did a couple and suddenly he's very popular. But that's a good time for him to get injured, to people to sell him so we can hold him. So, yes, I guess our safer version is, strangely enough, the safe version is 5 at the back, while the risky version is 3 at the back. Can you explain this one?
This is fascinating because, like, almost every week we see that the pattern is the highest risk teams always have a bunch of super correlated defenders. But in this game week's case, there's just so many really kind of decent differential outfield picks that for the first time, I think it's outweighing the correlated defense effect. Maybe people there's going to be some bandwagons over the next couple of days, and some of those picks who we currently think might be pretty low ownership, won't be low ownership at all. But yeah, right now it seems like the only amazing triple up, the only really high, I guess, upside triple up is the Everton triple up. And other than that, you can just go for a bunch of attackers. And then yeah, the safe team is the opposite. So we have 5 at the back. We have representation from 6 different teams in that defence. We've got an Arsenal goalkeeper. We've got Senesi. We've got Lacroix. We've got Tarkovsky. We've got Anderson, the GOAT. And we've got Virgil. And yeah, this is basically like, it feels like coverage, right? I mean, like, I don't like to think about coverage because I think it's kind of sometimes a bit misguided. But each of these kind of defences, Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, Everton, Fulham, Liverpool and Arsenal are going to be, like fairly highly owned. And by picking one player from each of them, what you have is good coverage over those options, like a team where the options are at the very least very correlated with the crowd's defense, which is a low risk strategy.
Yeah, I think it's the same reason why when you want to increase the correlation within your team, you pick a strong set of defenders. You pick 3 Everton defenders, 3 whatever defenders from the same team, because they get the same clean sheet points. Near enough. You can get subbed off before the goal goes in if you're like an 80th minute sub, in which case it's not quite right. But like the team gets the clean sheet. So actually having the same team, they get the points together. Whereas to get correlation in attack, you need to be, okay, I scored and you assisted me. Or the team did so well that they got so many goals that everyone scored. But in the same way, that's why I think when people talk about, oh, actually I can get a Liverpool attacker to cover Salah or something like that, was a popular one. Maybe not Szoboszlai can cover Salah, but earlier on, or Gakpo or someone like that. Because their points are slightly correlated, it kind of has some merit, but they're not so strongly correlated that you are really covering it. And actually, if you don't own Salah, you want Liverpool attack not to score. But here, the safest option is that, okay, there's some really strong defensive clean sheet chances this week. Lots of people have these strong defenses. So if I just make sure that any clean sheet that happens that everyone else might have, I have covered it. I've got correlation with it. So sure, Trufair might get an assist or a goal or something, and Senesi doesn't, or vice versa. Senesi seems to get assists every now and then somehow. But the bulk of their points are coming from the clean sheet. So if Brentford don't score, then you've got the Bournemouth clean sheet, whether you had Petrovic or Senesi or Trufair. Same with Palace. I think the Palace defenders we've felt have been fairly interchangeable, but then somehow Mark Gahey scores every game. Seems to got a lot of points.
So that's how the defenders work, and then I'll quickly go through the rest of this team because it's kind of like boring. I mean, it's there's only 5 non-defensive players, but they're basically the 5 guys who are four guys, I guess, who are going to stay quite highly owned among the Solio analytics sample and who aren't dead, because we've got a few dead players in there who are highly owned, like Bruno and Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai's not dead for long, but he's out for the current game week.
Having a nap.
Exactly, he's having a quick nap before he's back at it in game week 19. We've got Foden, Saka, Haaland and Thiago, who we think will be pretty high ownership. It'll be interesting to see now, maybe with Ekitike coming through as a big option. We might see a lot of people dropping Thiago for Ekitike. Cunha is also in there because we kind of expect a lot of people to buy Cunha this week, but that's if and only if Bruno Fernandes is out. And we'll see. I think he probably will be. But let's wait and see on that.
He's also just quite good. Like obviously, the safer is like you still want to maximize the points here. The safest option would be to put Caicedo or someone in there who's just going to get 2 or who's it? No, it's Weaver who keeps getting 4 points because he plays right back for Brighton. So you put him in, get 4 points. Bosh, no standard deviation, doesn't matter. Or maybe Rice would be one. He seems to be coming in. So if you're not talking about ownership, Cunha can score big or score low, but he's good. So we want to maximize that too. So I think, that's probably I think this also does give us a bit of a flavour of what people's teams are going to look like in game week 18. I think a lot of people have been looking at their teams and realising that they've got 4 or 5 strong defenders. and actually maybe it's fine to just roll them out, and you can play an Estev or a Mukiele and bench a Szoboszlai, and actually that's a way to either to try and save your transfers or is enforced because you've spent your transfers. There are ways out of it. There are some exciting attackers, like we said, with Bowen and Ekitike. But I think, we will probably see more 5 at the backs this week than normal, because we're starting to get the hang of, well, these guys are all quite good for DEFCONs, those 5.
Yep.
So the defensive floor has kind of just been raised a little bit. So I think people are going to be more open to playing 5 at the back. You reckon?
Okay. Yeah. I think so. It'll be interesting to see what the trends are over the next few weeks. It does feel like we're moving into a period of transition, I would say. I mean, a lot of people, maybe that just means my team is worse because I'm trying to jump on a bunch of guys who are better than the guys I have at the moment. But I mean, also this kind of is obvious because we're going through AFCON and everyone's just received 5 free transfers a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. We should be in a period of transition, and it feels like we are. There's a few exciting options who are just nobody owns at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Since it is Christmas and we might not be back for Gameweek 19, we'll go through the Gameweek 19 free hits 2, which we have. So these are looking ahead. So I guess, especially if you've got your free hit now, I think a lot of people who had it, even when I played mine in 17, like it didn't stick out way ahead of like, okay, I could have played it in 18 or 19. I know some people have saved it. So you're probably looking at 18 or 19 as, I think it's unlikely you have a team that favors one of them way more than the other. You probably are looking at one of the two. I suppose 18 might be a little bit stronger for some people now. If you had Szoboszlai suspended, Bruno maybe missing a game, but maybe not being out for too long, that might suit it. But in terms of fixture swings, then I think you're probably looking at 18 or 19. So I think my first impression is that the blob shape is fairly similar.
Yes.
Does that hold true? Is there still some
I think
upper right
so.
to explore?
The thing that is very clear to me here is that the top of this blob is very flat, and that means that there's just a whole bunch of very, very varied solutions in terms of who you're owning and who you're captaining. That all have very similar points. There's lots of, I guess we would say, solutions beneath the surface, which are really, really close to optimal. So it's an interesting game week to analyze the free hit for, even if I think probably most remaining people will free hit in 18. So for the kind of points optimal team, we have so Liverpool defense. We've got playing Leeds at home. We've got Alisson in goal, Virgil in the defense. We've got a bunch of different guys in defense: O'Reilly, De Ligt, Hall. All with good fixtures, playing weak attacks with solid teams. So that's interesting. In the midfield, we have Mason Mount making an appearance. That's a strange one. Basically, I'll explain this. I went through and boosted a whole bunch of Man United midfielders' minutes, which is, has to happen because Bruno is probably not. Well, we don't know. I mean, I think he might not play in 19, but we don't know.
This is solved with the assumption that he's not playing in 19. If he was in 19, I imagine he'd be in and he'd be the captain over Cunha and so on. But
that's right.
If he's not here, Mason Mount is good.
So obviously Cunha's going to be here. Cunha is taking a bazillion shots, it seems, at the moment every game, and he's a great asset. And if you're free hitting Game Week 19, you should obviously have him, and maybe you should captain him. But Mason Mount, we think, is going to gobble up a little bit of the penalties, maybe. We'll see. But Bruno and Mbeumo are both presumably gone. And that means someone has to take penalties. It'll probably be Cunha, but maybe it will be Mount. We'll have to see. We've also got Szoboszlai. I don't know. Good asset, solid asset again. Maybe on pens. Palmer, who's very exciting. Saka, Haaland. You can captain Haaland. I think it's very boring though. I mean, if I was free hitting in 19, I would want to do something fun that gets the blood racing. And Haaland captain against, is that Sunderland away?
Sunderland away.
That. Yeah, I don't know. Sunderland are actually they're not good, but they're not as bad as. They're not as bad as Wolves.
Yes. Who don't? Are they still on 2 points? Or I got that wrong?
I can't remember.
They lost again. But yes, I mean, a lot of these players are quite strong. I'd obviously caveat that De Ligt has been out. So the current projection is that he's back soon. But he seems to have said that every week. So if he wasn't here, I imagine it would be someone similar. I think a lot of people have looked at Dorgu or Dallo, who are looking fairly nailed in the wingback spots, given that Mazraoui is not here and Ahmad's not here. So probably one of those fairly similar, or might have Malik Chow double up on a Newcastle defence against Burnley, something like that. It depends. Yeah. Maybe a Nunez will come in for City. But yeah, I think there's quite a few options in that defensive one. They're all quite similar. So yeah, if you were picking a sort of unobstructed one, you do end up a bit split because you try and pick the best player from each defence. You might not back Newcastle defence with their injuries at the moment, although Lewis Miley's been quite strong as a right back, so we'll have to see. But if you want to dial the risk up, then here we are, Brentford defence.
Oh, this looks familiar, doesn't it, Jonny?
Before. Yes, Lewis Potter's back. So yeah, they are playing Spurs, which obviously isn't quite as good a fixture as Wolves. But that does mean Collins' DEFCONs are probably quite high. I think that tends to be a fixture where you can be pretty good for DEFCONs. Although Virgil was on 0 DEFCONs in the Spurs game yesterday for quite a long time. I don't know if he ended on 0. People were saying, hang on, where's he doing? Is he doing anything? But yeah, it's fairly similar otherwise. I mean, we've got Mount, we've got Szoboszlai, we've got Cunha captain, Palmer. I think this is because, you can see it's actually scoring quite similarly highly, and actually a lot of these players were quite risky, but Ekitike comes in. Have we lost Saka? Is that who we've lost? I think he's quite... Yeah, so Saka's gone. So he goes for Wirtz. Right, yeah. So you get a triple Liverpool attack. That's with Wirtz, Szoboszlai and Ekitike.
I like that.
Yes, you're a Liverpool fan, so you would say
yeah,
that.
I am. But... I am a Liverpool fan, and obviously I'm, not super excited about Liverpool as a general concept. I am excited about Liverpool's FPL options. I mean, I think that Szoboszlai, Wirtz and Ekitike are all really interesting, exciting options, and they're definitely not for everyone. But we'll see. They might be for me. Let's see.
Yes, but I'd imagine. So I think the Brentford defense will be slightly lower owned than some of the defenses we saw on this top one. So I'd imagine that Newcastle defense might be slightly higher, rather than that's why you wouldn't go for a. I suppose we also. I mean, we might know by then, but we're waiting for the goalkeeper. You might pick Ramsdale and suddenly Pope starts this one. So I was going to say you could go Ramsdale, Chow, Hall, or who else is there? There's you can't go for triple City because you've got Haaland, and you can't go for triple Man United because you've got Mason Mount and Cunha. So I guess that's why it's found the sort of the next best defense to triple up on. And yeah, I mean, I guess Spurs will be without Javi Simmons at that point still. He got a 3-game suspension. Romero should be back, but their attack's not been super strong of late. So yeah, good to see it. Anything to add on this one?
No. Let's see the boring team and just
boring. Yes,
boring.
We've got Anderson and Anderson.
Okay. No, I love this team.
The deadly duo.
It's got the Anderson double up, just like my FPL team has.
This is quite like my team. Yeah.
Yeah, this does look like my team. We got Raya in goal. We got Lacroix, Virgil, and Anderson in defence. Still 3 at the back. So 3 at the back seems to just be the way to go for FH19. In the midfield, we've got Anderson, Szoboszlai, Foden, Cunha, and Saka. I think that's all pretty predictable. Anderson is, I guess, a bit rogue, and he's probably a low risk player because he doesn't get many attacking returns. Most of those points come from DEFCONs, which means he's got a low
is a bit narrower. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and he's also fairly highly owned in the Solio Analytics mini league sample. And then the ultimate boring attack, Haaland and Thiago. Maybe in the coming weeks we'll see Thiago become a differential, but I don't think that's going to happen too quickly. We'll see.
Yeah, I guess the caveat on these as well is that obviously we're projecting Gameweek 19 ownership to solve them from most of the way through Gameweek 17. So the accuracy does dip slightly. So someone like Thiago might suddenly have, been mass sold. Or sometimes you get a pile in on a player. So Ekitike might mash it in Gameweek 18, and then even more people pick him up in 19, and then you go, okay, well, actually he's the safer one to cover, so to speak. Anderson, Elliot Anderson, the midfielder, is sold to try and make way for some midfield upgrades. trying to get to Palmer or get to whoever. So yeah, I think that makes sense from where we are right now, but obviously subject to change. But I think there's a lot to think about. And if you were free hit 18 or 19, all else being equal, have you got a preference?
I think I like those free hit 18 teams. I think that there's just the midfield options
The
are so exciting.
Like
This is just really nice. I like the triple Everton defense, and I just think there's so many fun players to pick that I would find that impossible to resist. What about you?
Yeah, I think so too. I think also just like, he's not in this. Oh no, he is in this one. I was gonna say Frimpong feels like a perfect one to be like.
Oh, Frimpong's so nice.
He's the perfect player for a free hit because he's so likely to start this one and then has no certainty of starts whatsoever after that. As long as Bradley's fit, he should be playing right wing rather than right back. I mean, even right back is fine. Like, you're still getting a Liverpool defender against Wolves, but I think those are the players that you want to be free hitting for, to look for that.
Yeah. So Frimpong captain. You heard it here first. I think he's.
I mean, look at his projected points right here. It's very close.
This is a team without Haaland. So you're always taking a huge amount of risk betting against Haaland. But if you're a guy who wants to bet against Haaland, Frimpong looks so tasty. I absolutely love him.
Yes, very nice. So, what we'll move on to next is we're going to talk about some of the. I guess this is the transition thing we were talking about, but not only is there a slight transition in everyone has lots of transfers, people have got a few issues around Christmas as well, but the teams have had a few issues that have kind of solidified a few players as being quite strong. So, how do we react to someone like the major news we got mostly is that Bruno Fernandes, I suppose it's news, we don't know specifically. Bruno Fernandes might be missing for 3 or 4 weeks. Isak is likely to be missing for a long time, but we don't know exactly. And Gyökeres took a penalty while Saka was on the pitch, which I think for a lot of people was, I wouldn't say it was a surprise for me that Gyökeres took it, but I would say I wasn't certain either way. And it certainly moved my belief slightly towards, like, maybe it's a bit more split than I thought, whereas I was maybe a little bit higher on Saka. So if I go to the teams here, like, we've set it up now for like a sort of 50-40 split. For Saka, obviously Gyökeres' minutes are a bit lower, so he ends up getting even less of them anyway. And, there's a chance that Saka and Gyökeres are both on the pitch and someone else takes it. Like, we've seen this propensity to share them out. But does this make Saka a bad asset that needs to be sold, or how do you? It's
interesting.
How do you think about these new bits of information that move it?
I absolutely don't mind that Gyökeres took the penalty, because I do think that Saka will take the next one. In the long run, they might be 50-50, but you can't sell Saka until he takes the next pen, right? When he takes the next pen, I think maybe.
Do you think they're alternating? Is that what you're thinking?
I think they could be. If we think they're 50-50 and someone said that they're 50-50, then they could be alternating. But I think it's really likely that Saka will take the next one. So I think he's very much in the you can't sell him camp right now. I just don't think you can. Arsenal they've got okay fixtures, and Saka is still Saka with a 50% pen share. I'm gonna be keeping him.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a perfect storm in some ways of that. Like, there's an asset who's not been delivering super high returns, but is still very strong, who's had information that does potentially make him a bit worse in some people's opinions. We might be moving to a spot where triple Arsenal defense might be looking quite strong. Some people who want to load up on that. And people are suddenly looking for money to move to try and get a very exciting attacker. So we've got Ekatike obviously down here. We have got his minutes. I think if I put his minutes on, we've got him currently projecting, where is he? Like, strongly for the next 3, and then sort of dipping off, and then Isak. I mean, it's hard to know when Isak's going to be back. So actually, like, you might just see him having good minutes for longer and longer. We might see Isak back a bit sooner. You're buying before you know the timeline, really, because we're not going to know by the end of the year, really. Exactly. I mean, someone like Jared Branthwaite was supposed to be back in Gameweek 4 and is not here. Still, Mitoma, there was an injury tracker or Mitoma about all the updates we were getting and when he was back or not. And I think there's an element of potential deception from the managers, but there's also an element of like injuries aren't a known quantity. So we know that Szoboszlai misses a game and comes back. Like people recover from suspensions when they're meant to, usually. So I think it's hard to sort of work out whether he's going to be as strong an asset. But some people think he's going to take penalties as well. I don't know what your feeling is on the Liverpool penalty situation, because we've had, for a while it was quite easy. It was Salah takes them all. Even when he missed a couple, it's like, oh, well, he just wants to take them. And then we go, okay, Salah's out, so it's probably Isak or Szoboszlai. They've got the strongest shares. And then Szoboszlai took one without Isak on the pitch. So we go, well, it's one of the two. Isak's now out. Szoboszlai's not in this game. Does Ekitike take the pens? Do we spread them out? How do we...
No, I don't think
that?
Ekitike... I mean, we'll see, right? I personally think that with Isak out, I think Szoboszlai's going to be taking the... In my mind, I think Szoboszlai is very likely to be taking pens.
Yeah.
I think I'm right in saying that Ekitike has a very poor or kind of slightly non-existent pen record. I think he might have scored 3 and missed 4, or something like that, and mostly in shootouts. I think there was a shootout at some point where he was available to take a penalty but chose not to. I think all of those are signs that Ekitike is not a guy who loves taking penalties, and maybe is not particularly good at them. So yeah, for me, Ekitike, the penalties aren't huge, but I think he's a great FPL asset nevertheless. I mean, he is, I think, going to be a nailed on number 9 for Liverpool, whose attack isn't great, but also is probably a fair amount better than average. At least that's what the betting markets seem to think. So yeah. we'll see. We'll see how right they are. But it's kind of fascinating, Ekitike, as an FPL asset, because I feel like, first of all, if I was wildcarding right now, of course you have the front two, Ekitike and Haaland. It's so nice, and if something happens to Ekitike or Liverpool attack actually really sucks for some reason, you could just take him out, and it's very easy to downgrade him to maybe Bowen or someone like that. But I was looking for my team. I mean, we'll talk more about this earlier. It takes so much surgery to actually get him in at that price point, because it's such a unique price point at the moment for forwards that even though I have 5 free transfers and I can get to him if I want to, it takes a lot of surgery. You have to make some ugly moves, bring in a player maybe who's not ideal. So I don't know. Yeah, what do you think about Ekitike as an FPL asset, Jonny?
Yeah, I think it's a tricky one to kind of resist in some ways, because we have, especially if you own Bruno Fernandes and a striker that you don't like, and you can move Bruno down to a midfielder who you do like and Thiago up to Ekitike or something like that. Actually, that's a 2-move solution that's not too bad and looks quite strong. But I do think, Bowen is the only one who actually makes me think that maybe if I go to the forwards, just reset these predictions, go to the forwards, maybe around this sort of price point. There really aren't that many forwards who cost more than 7 million, and one of them is Isak. So obviously, if I want to sell Ekitike, I'm probably going to be going down, back down to a Thiago or a Calvert-Lewin or something like that. I mean, Mateta and Bowen are both there, and there's no issue with me going, okay, it's not like I go, okay, I don't know how to get up from Ekitike. Where do I get the 2 million back to get back up to Isak or whatever? It's fine to go down, but then it's hard to spread the money out again, which you don't need to do, but actually because there's so many strong midfielders, so actually if I go for midfielders above that price, there's more of them. I know Eze and Odegaard aren't super strong, but actually there's more of these mids above 7 million who are very strong. But Rodgers just had a very good game today. So that's probably where I want the money generally, other than Haaland. There's a non-zero chance that Salah does come back from AFCON and they need him to start playing again, and he's starting again, and suddenly he's a very good asset again. I wouldn't say it's likely, but I might need a 14 million midfielder at some point. Palmer's one I want to get to. So I think structurally it's not the ideal setup to have Ekitike in it, purely from the perspective of in 5 game weeks time, do I want him? Let's say Isak's back in game week 21-22. If I wildcarded then, I probably wouldn't have Ekitike in, but I also probably wouldn't have another forward who's that price. I might have Bowen. So if I want to move through the sort of the waves of what other people are going to do or what I think the strongest team structure is, I probably am going to have to move into an Ekitike shaped team and then out of an Ekitike shaped team rather than, or I need I need Bowen and Mateta to become really good. So actually, if I move off Ekitike, I'd move to the same shaped team, and I need to not have Armour smashing it by then, so that I can still have Saka and I don't know who else am I going to have? Semenyo, Cunha, whatever. But if I want Saka and Palmer or something like that, then it's not as strong. I don't have as much of an issue. I will go on to my team actually just here. I've got 4 transfers and 3.6 in the bank. So I've also got Gordon and not Fernandes and Szoboszlai out. But, I could do Thiago to Ekitike in one move and still have 1.3 in the bank if I wanted to. I could also do, not ban, if I want to do Mark Guiu up to Ekitike, I need to find $1 million, but Gordon to, anybody down here. I suppose these guys aren't that interesting, are they? Maybe this is not as interesting a list. Harry Wilson.
Oh, no.
Perfect, yes. Then, actually, it was one other move. Or I can move a defender down. I can move someone out. So, actually, I'm not that far off Ekitike relative to most people, I think, because I've still got my transfers. And if Bruno's out, Bruno down and Mark Guiu up is pretty straightforward. Then I've got to hold Gordon still. And I don't even need them this week. Like, I can bench Fernandes and Szoboszlai if I think Fernandes is a short-term doubt. I've got 5 strong defenders.
So
I feel like I am actually in a nicer position than most to get Ekitike. So I'll have to see how the information goes. But I might end up going there because I feel like while other people go there, the advantage I get is that I don't mess my team up doing it. So I don't gain from Ekitike himself because he'll be very popular, but I gain from when people have to come off him in 4 or 5 weeks' time, I can do that more easily. Or, I can fix other fires if people have suddenly I've got 3 more fires. I'll be like, well, I've got transfers. I don't need to sell Ekitike for money. I don't need to set that. But I don't really know. I think...
Yeah. Jonny, can you afford Guiu to Ekitike and Fernandes to Cunha?
Yes.
Oh, you can with 0.3 in the bank. That looks nice. I think that looks nice.
Yeah, and then I'd have 3 transfers next week. My plan was to sell Gordon, but I've just realised that actually he plays Burnley in Gameweek 19. Don't need to, because I bought him for Burnley in Gameweek 15. In going, okay, I've got 5 transfers. I need to use 3 of them, and I'm gonna have 5 next week, and then I'll sell them. But maybe he could just stay, and then. Well, I can roll this week because I've got Thiago on the bench already. Interesting.
Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room here, Jonny.
Yes.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is the guy who was scoring loads and loads and loads of points until both me and you decided to bring him into our teams for the fee hit. Phil Foden. Do you have any plans to bring in Phil Foden into your team?
I mean, he does keep popping up, annoyingly.
He keeps popping up. I know.
Because when I was solving before, it looked like I could free hit in 17 and then not have him in 18. But he still does look quite strong, and I think his minutes are still looking quite strong. So I think he was one I'm still looking to try and not own because of his popularity and because of the fact that, this midfield of Szoboszlai, Cunha, Anderson, Saka, Gordon looks pretty nice. So I don't feel like... I think actually a lot of the lines I was looking at, maybe if I bring my slightly zoomed out version. I was looking at a few lines. I don't know if this is easy enough to see. So I did a line that I just left it unrestricted. And actually it doesn't buy Ekitike, it buys Cunha and Foden and Tarkowski for Anderson. And then I went, okay, you have to get Ekitike. And it does this, Cunha Ekitike one. I did one where I think, this was, I have to get Ekitike, but I want to keep Thiago. So I locked Thiago. I wanted to not have a dead spot. But then if I let Thiago go to Ekitike and keep Mark Guiu, there's a slightly different version. And then this was the version where I think I just said, don't buy Foden. And then this is the one I was just showing you. And actually the scores are all within, this one's the strongest by a couple of points, but they're all quite similar. So actually, I think there are fairly viable routes that don't have Foden in, because obviously Foden's in these ones here. But then if I don't get Foden now, he sometimes comes in later in the suggestions. So I don't know. I feel like maybe he's one I just need to stop fighting and buy. And actually, maybe my advantage with him is that I don't have so much money locked up in him, so I can sell him more readily than most people. Because if you've bought him at how much is he now? How much did he used to be? He's 8.9.
Yeah.
Excuse me. If you bought him at 8, and then he's 9 million, and there's a chance to sell him at 8.5, but you know you might want him later, I think people are going to be hesitant to sell at 8.5, knowing that they need to pay another 0.5 more to get him back. Yep. Whereas if I buy at 8.9 and sell at 8.9 and then buy him again at, like, I can hop on and off him more easily. I think that's a mental load thing rather than a, like, doesn't actually matter. They'll have made 500,000 in profit, which I didn't get. I don't know. I can't decide. I think if Bruno is out for a while, then I am going to be running out of other good midfielders to not buy instead of Phil Foden. But yes, you haven't got him, have you? We had him on free hit.
I don't. I'm in a very similar position. Yeah. Let's look at my my team.
I can search for James.
Yes, you can. The team name is FF Trout.
Oops.
Oop.
There we are.
Yep.
Lovely. I'll swip to this view as well.
So yeah, here's my team. I've still got the double Brentford defence, double Palace defence. Yeah. Got Anderson, the best FPL player in the game, as everyone agrees.
And the other
Anderson. And
the other best FPL player in the game.
So good, I had to own him twice. I've got Danny Welbeck. And Haaland and Mark Guillou. I mean, this is
your bench doesn't look great right now.
No, my bench has got a bunch of great assets, but none of them are playing any minutes this week. So I probably got to figure that out. But for figuring it out,
Szoboszlai and Bruno Fernandes, for those who can't.
Yeah, it's a bit of a problem, isn't it? But I do have 5 free transfers to fix the problem.
Very nice.
So before this game week, I thought, it's so obvious what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do Mbeumo to Cunha, and I might as well also do, I can't remember, I think Collins to Tarkowski.
Yeah.
And then a couple of things happen. Bruno is maybe injured for a while, which is a shame. And also there's a bunch of Liverpool guys who I really, really, really want in my team because they're fun and low-owned and have good projected points.
I assume it would have been something like this. Oh, no, I guess it would have been Anderson over Anderson. Before
exactly.
Before
I mean, the fact that Szoboszlai's out is really annoying because again, it's just like kind of exposing my depth a little bit. But overall, the events of the last couple of days have massively thrown things up into the air. So
which is what we like to see personally. I love it.
It's what you like to see.
Yes.
I like, actually, when I have really good plans, I like for those plans to follow through. But I get that that's not your
no, I don't make any beyond this week. I go, well, there's loads of plans. Enough. Yeah, figure it out later.
Yeah, well, this is the perfect example of why not to make that many plans beyond the current game week. Anyway, yeah, I've got some problems I've got to fix now. And fixing those problems basically involves bringing in some permutation of Cunha, Ekitike, Wirtz, maybe. I mean, the optimization, Solio optimization, is screaming at me to just get Foden, just give up. I mean, screaming is a strong word. Like, I'm losing a couple of points, I think, over the next 10 game weeks or so by not owning Foden. But I just don't want to. I just don't want to, and that's my right to not.
You can also, like, as much as it wants to scream and scream, you can quite happily go over here, go for this, type in his name, and say, "Be quiet, Foden."
Yes.
So sometimes I find that people, maybe this isn't a Solio thing, more of a general solver thing. People will just get the top line and go, "That's what it wants me to do." Rather than going, well, how many close optimals are there? And is that what I want to do? So if it says Foden and you go, well, maybe I don't want Foden, and you ban him and it comes up with a solution that is terrible, then you go, okay, it's screaming at me to tell Foden because the best, as soon as I say no Foden, it throws a hissy fit and gives me a terrible team. But if I say no, actually, can we not have Foden? and it gives me a very good other team, then I go, oh, well, then it's my decision to get Foden or not. So yes, I would agree. Like, I have had the same kind of like tug of war with Foden's good, but he's not essential. But maybe I don't want him because everyone else has him.
You know what it is? It's Sol versus Solio, as somebody else has been talking about recently. That's what it is. And my soul says I just don't want to own Phil Foden, and that's fine.
But presumably, Mbomo's going.
Exactly, and Burma's going, and if Bruno is out for a while, I think Bruno's obviously got to go too. And the obvious thing to do for most people would just be to buy Cunha and Foden, but I don't want Cunha. So maybe the obvious thing to do, or the second most obvious thing to do, is just to buy Cunha and Wirtz for Bruno and Mbumo. And that's something I might do. That's something I'm considering doing if Bruno's out.
Your lineup's really strong and your bench is a bit thin. So actually, the bench being thin here is not as much of an issue. I suppose Christmas period is maybe primed for Richards has had a niggle,
Oliver Glasner finally stop playing all of the same players every week. We'll see. Something like that I wouldn't be shocked by. But overall, like I feel pretty comfortable with this team. It's just, I mean, Wirtz is like not somebody I had my eye on before this game week, and it feels like I'm just bringing him in because I need to bring someone in to that spot.
But then if you do need to bring someone into that spot, then you should, rather than going, well, I didn't want to before.
That's true.
You should buy
because it's
somebody.
either him or Foden, pretty much. I don't really think of anyone else who fits that glove.
Or
it's
Welbeck.
I mean, there's a lot of other stuff. Okay,
let's
briefly talk about if Bruno Fernandes is only out for a short amount of time, or if he is like not out at all. I mean, we saw him after the match, and he was like limping a tiny bit, but not as much as you expect him to.
4 weeks, just here now, just to test it out. Because actually, when I was solving my team, if he's got a chance of 19, it just wants me to bench him because he's so good here. Like if I reset these, he's captaincy material.
Right.
But even if he's got a chance for 20 or 21, my bench can handle it. So let's say he is out 18. Seems likely, but maybe he's back soon.
If he's out 18, I'll probably let him ride on my bench with Big Dom, and either do my original plan of actually I think it was Anderson to Tarkovsky, not Collins. Anderson to Tarkovsky, and Mbumo to Cunha. Another option as well is to do Welbeck to Bowen, I think, because Bowen, like we've been talking about Bowen a bit. Bowen is coming up with some fairly, West Ham are obviously bad, but he's got Fulham and Wolves in the next 3, Bournemouth at home, Nottingham Forest at home. The next 4 fixtures are like, they're not bad, and Bowen he's got a really good projected minutes and a good share of centre forward, and he's not very expensive. So overall, he's not great, but he's a pretty solid stopgap while we wait for either me being able to access Ekitike.
Like he's unlikely to become. I mean, we used to say this a lot about Bruno Fernandes, who now is the issue, but he's so unlikely to become an issue because, like, he's still quite good even when West Ham are not doing well and have bad fixtures. He's not great. Yep. You'd want someone else, but like his floor is high. Like, how bad is he going to be? You can roll him out in another week. Whereas like when you've got Danny Welbeck against Arsenal, you're like, well, I can't just roll him out. He's also missed a couple games. So actually, the chance of you buying Bowen and then going, oh shit, I need to sell Bowen, is quite unlikely. You're more likely to be able to go, okay, I can use my transfers elsewhere.
Yeah, you know what to expect at this point, I think, from Jack Bowen, it's fair to say. I mean, it's just like, I can get Ekitike in, right? If I make like 3 free transfers, I could do something like...
Who would this be?
I guess you'd have to do Bruno to Cunha, Welbeck to Ekitike, and then Mbumo to Wirtz, I think works.
Yeah.
Oh no, I've got 4 Liverpool players.
Oops.
No. Yeah, I just love Liverpool too much.
You could get Kudus. There you go.
Kudus is the next guy. Yeah,
No.
This just doesn't look very good, does it? So let's. I mean, obviously, this might be in some contexts worth 3 free transfers. And I think that if we thought about free transfers in a slightly different way than we model them at Solio. Maybe it would, but at Solio, as I think we kind of went into last week or 2 weeks ago, we have a feature called decision disruption and probability, and I won't explain this in too much detail. We've got a kind of a longer explainer on
I'll just show it.
Yeah, get it up on the screen. I won't give too much details. But
I don't know why I'm on 37%. By the way, that's just a random number.
It's good as a percentage as any.
Yeah.
The way that decision disruption probability kind of rewards flexibility is, instead of like applying a flat penalty to every transfer that's made, we're really thinking instead about the state of free transfers remaining in each game week. So actually, and not just in the game week where you're making the transfers. Obviously, if I make 3 free transfers now, I'll also have fewer free transfers the week after that, and at the very least the week after that. So it's like it's worth appreciating that using up all of your transfers and going down to 3 when you have, or going down to 2 free transfers remaining when you have like viable alternative paths which only use 1 or 2 free transfers. There's a significant long-term flexibility cost, and that's why when you set the decision disruption probability to about 50%, which is, I think, kind of our recommended default if you're doing this kind of deterministic solving, it doesn't recommend that I get Ekatike, and whatever I do to poke and prod, it just doesn't really want to get Ekatike, because I have perfectly good solutions to my problem that only use 2 free transfers.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, you were suggesting a lot of 2 free transfer solutions and saying, well, I could use a third, and I think most people who have 5 now would go, well, this is what they're for. Like, I should do this 3 transfers move solution. But I guess what you're saying is that the value gained by using 3 instead of 2 has to be quite a lot more for you to go. Because, for example, people who had not the same problem, but similar-ish problems in game week 16 or 17, who went, okay, I'm going to take the 3 or 4 move solution and do 3 or 4 transfers because it is better than the 2 move solution, but not by a huge amount. And maybe it was by a huge amount, so fair enough. But you can see that if you get to this week and something like this week happens where, your flexibility is reduced, you come into this week with 1 or 2 because you made a slightly better move with an extra transfer last week. Then sure, you made that gain, but you can get yourself quite stuck. I do notice that I'll bring your nemesis back into this. I'm going to call him out. Anthony has 1 transfer this week, I believe.
Well, you see, this is the thing. This is the interesting... So, okay, I have a few things to say about this. First of all, I would love to make a luxury transfer like Anderson to Tarkovsky, right? Selling a good asset for a really good asset. But I would like to do that with my 4th or 5th free transfer rolled. I don't really want to do that with my 3rd free transfer rolled, because it just has... Like, it has more value, but going from 2 to 3 has more value than going from 3 to 4 or 4 to 5, because, like, there's diminishing returns in terms of the flexibility. I think that it's fascinating. What we're seeing this season is that managers who have shown themselves to be kind of strong analytics managers, like people who have played in an analytics way and have really good season histories, they use fewer free transfers than any other type of FPL manager. That's like fascinating, because it's not something that's necessarily true for analytics managers. When we launched Solio for a long time, we didn't even have a free transfer value, and it was quite trigger happy. But I find it interesting that the in general, it seems like strong analytics managers have a kind of higher inherent free transfer value than anyone else. Everyone else is a bit more trigger happy. And yeah, my nemesis in FPL, a guy called Anthony, he's the perfect illustration. I mean, he just isn't, unfortunately, he tries his best, but he doesn't have a very good grasp of the game sometimes. He's got 1 free transfer, and he's probably got all the same problems that I have, and he can't solve them, bless him. So it is what it is. I mean, you win some and you lose some.
Yes, indeed. I think it's a topic we can definitely come back to in a bit more detail as well. We've touched on it before, but I think this idea of valuing the flexibility of owning the transfers and being really patient with them is something that does tend to come to fruition more often than not. And that is easy for me to say with 4 transfers and you with 5 and some issues to fix and, okay, we're in a good spot. I don't mean this in a gloating way. I do remember a few weeks ago when I think we had a few issues and Pras had 1 or 2 and I had 4, and he was saying, "Oh, well, very good for you." But
Anyway.
Anyway, what were you saying?
Anyway, I was just gonna segue. I was gonna say, speaking of Pras, should we have a look at Pras's team, and should we very quickly say what we would do if we were we were the Pras? I mean, obviously he'll be delighted to hear this kind of advice because it's always good to get advice from people who scored more FPL points than you in the previous game week.
This is his team.
That's his team. I can recognize.
Very nice.
It's got Rodon in it.
And Obi.
And Obi, yeah.
But he does have 4. He has
4. He's been playing by the book. He's been trying his best, Pras.
And actually,
he's been playing all right.
He's got far fewer issues than we do, by the looks of things.
It's true.
He's got Bruno Fernandes. But he could roll. This team actually looks fine.
Yeah, I hate to say it. He's
done a
but
very
this
good
is
job.
This is. I'm kind of annoyed. Looking through this team, he's got 4 free transfers, so he's got the opportunity to roll. If Bruno Fernandes is only out for a game week, I would roll with this team.
The upgrades to, Minter as your first bench isn't brilliant, but these are all guys who look very strong for minutes.
Yeah,
I think the only one longer term who's maybe a doubt is O'Reilly. If I know he's back, but he's away and he looks pretty strong anyway. I'm casting doubt without needing to there. But Senesi's nailed, Virgil's nailed, Anderson's these are the stalwarts.
And to really upgrade one of these players.
Yeah, I would say Fernandes to someone else to make a big upgrade. So maybe to buy Cunha now is possibly what you would call one of those more luxury transfers, given that if we think Bruno might be back for game week 19, then that's a big luxury to go. I want to make my team a bit better this week. So if we do Bruno to Cunha this week, we've played Cunha over Rodon. So, it's a couple of points. Which is not nothing. Maybe, that's probably on the edge. But I think the issue is that then you get to game week 19 and you go, sure, I've got Cunha. But if Bruno's back now, how do I get him? I want Bruno.
Yeah.
What's the route? Whereas if you wait a week, if you go, okay, I'm not doing Cunha to Bruno, undo that, and then get to 19 and he's still out, then you go, okay, cool, he's out, I'll buy Cunha now. And all you've done is you've given up points last week. But it's tricky because that's the kind of do I want the money to go somewhere else and upgrade Thiago to, do I want Ekitike? But
yeah, ultimately the situation here, right, is there are lots of players that I think you'd like to upgrade, but all of them require a bit of surgery. And I think if Bruno is fit or only out for a game week, then the surgery is not really worth the flexibility cost. So I personally, if there's any doubt that Bruno's not out for a couple game weeks, I would just roll with this. And if he is out, then I think it's a very easy Bruno to Cunha and nothing else.
Yeah, fairly strong replacement. And then in terms of, because I know we both like to think about the risk engagement of our team, and obviously he's got Foden and whoever. But if I was looking, maybe this is an open question to some of our listeners who might be not where they want to be. They're outside the top 1 million. They're trying to get into the top 100K. And they want to start trying to go, okay, I need to do something to try and make these gains up. Let's say Pras has said, I want to maximize my chance of getting back into the top 50K from here, and I'm willing to risk it. Would that play into your strategy now differently? Or if he said, I want to minimize my chance of finishing outside the top 200K, perhaps, then I think this week there's not much of a difference. I think it would just be it would be patient until there's some big decisions to make, and then go, okay, I'm going to take the big one that takes me this way or the other. So actually having your transfers make that decision later, because if he just gets lucky in the next 4 weeks, then you don't have to start engaging in that risk. You can use your transfers in game week 22 to start covering players off or just moving with the crowd. But if you then wait and get unlucky for another 3 or 4 weeks, you go, okay, I need to start ramping up now. Whereas making the decision earlier, you can dig yourself a bigger hole and then go, I've dug myself a bigger hole and I have less resources to keep digging. And I don't know.
Yeah. So I think probably those two examples that you gave, finishing in the top 50k and like being sure that you finish in the top 200k or don't finish outside the top 200k, I think those are both like sufficiently unambitious from Pras's now not terrible position that I would just stick with this. Like, what are you going to do to roll the dice? Not captain Haaland? I don't know. This isn't. You know, you could captain Saka, but it doesn't really feel like the best time to do it. And I think that you can just keep rolling and probably finish. You know, keep moving, keep making forward progress, having good aim against
like
the
the team is strong. You should expect to start coming through. So I think making sure your team is strong first and foremost, and actually the secondary motive is.
But yeah, I think if
stuff.
you have some ultra ambitious objective here, like finishing in you really want to finish in the top 1k, it's all you've got to do. Someone's gonna say, "Oh, I'll kill your family if you don't finish in the top 1k."
Jeez.
Yeah, I mean that's just an extreme example, right? But
okay.
I think probably the first domino to fall in terms of risk is probably you just move away from the Haaland captain. Like you maybe don't even sell Haaland yet, but you just move it over to Saka. I wouldn't recommend that anyone who's like sane does this, but it could, you could do it. You could do it.
Yeah,
it's not
and
that
actually,
many
like,
points to. It's not that much that many points to give up. Like you're giving up less than a point. It's not terrible.
Yeah, and I mean,
it's just a bit.
Maybe this week is the one where you start going like, especially if Bruno's fit, you can move Haaland to Bruno for the captaincy. Let's say he is fine. Yep. I'll undo that. Then, yes, that looks tastier. I'll do that, captain.
Sure.
Yeah, you've done very little there. Yeah, so I think the next few weeks probably is about managing resources more than it is about doing anything. Well, apart from if you got your free hit, obviously you can do whatever you want with that. And I think also I would just urge some small caution on anyone who wants to start chasing in the early Gameweek 20s to probably not do it with the chips. Because we are still expecting these blanks and doubles later in the season. I think there's too much of a gain to be made doing that. I know some people, like if you load up on Arsenal, is it Gameweek 21? Arsenal play Liverpool? Yes, Gameweek 21. If you load up on Arsenal and Liverpool, then Gameweek 21 looks a bit fiddly. And some people are saying they might free hit that one, but I think that's not one to do.
Don't play chips.
Don't play chips. Save them.
Don't play them.
I mean, there's a reason like we used to save them all for the second half of the season when we had one set. So I would carry on with that. But I don't know. We might see. Because triple captain, you're going to be able to get a double after that. Bench boost is going to make more sense when you can get 2 doubling goalkeepers. I feel like, free hit is probably going to be a blank if there's not that many doubles. And then, what's the other one? Wild card. Yeah, that's just going to help you set everything else up. So, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything else to say. Yes, we have run over a little bit. Anything you'd like to add before we end?
I'd like to add thanks for having me on. Two episodes in a row. I'm loving it. I'm loving this kind of move from locking myself in a cupboard all day and writing code to actually getting out and speaking to another human
the sunlight.
Yeah, exactly. It's great. So let's keep going.
Oh, we'll get you back. Yeah, very good. Yes. So
wow.
just to wow, yeah, you were so good. We'll go for the hat trick. So I mean, this is your hat trick. You've been on. You were on a preseason. This is 4th. I remember. Yeah. I mean, you're part of the Solio team. It's not like you're guesting, so to speak. So I believe this will be our last pod before the end of the year. We might try and squeeze one out between Game Week 18 and 19. Let me just check. So obviously the Game Week 18 deadline is on Friday, which is Boxing Day. We've got Man United Newcastle. And then that runs over the weekend. And then Game Week 19 is Tuesday and Thursday. So that's either side of New Year's Eve. So we probably won't have a podcast out before Game Week 19. And I think we also probably won't have one out before Game Week 20, which is the Saturday the 3rd and Sunday the 4th. Because Pras is still away and I'll be back at home without my recording equipment. So we might get one out for 20, but at the very least, Game Week 21 is Tuesday the 6th of January to Thursday the 8th. So we'll have one out on the Sunday or the Monday ahead of Game Week 21. Pras should be back as usual. James might be back too. We might have more guests. Maybe we'll just get the whole team on for one and just have a sort of chaotic talking over each other, interrupting, nothing of use. We'll just record a team meeting and just post that. Something like that, yeah. But
just found out Isaac's broken his leg.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Suspected, according to
right,
Ornstein.
okay.
But anyway, on that note,
Well,
Let's roll on. Happy holidays, everyone.
On that bombshell.
On that bombshell.
Time
for Christmas.
Yes. Have a Merry Christmas. Hopefully see you over the Christmas break on the Solio Analytics platform. Everything's free. I'll just mention it again. We'll post more details about it on the website and on our Twitter, but if you log on, then we'll have info there. And good luck for Gameweek 18, Gameweek 19, Gameweek 20, and we'll see you next year.
Bye.